Directed and co-written by Matthew Peters. We are talking AXEGRINDER 666. I believe this is the 6th movie in the AXEGRINDERS franchise. And just for clarity, I haven't seen any of them bar this one. Although, judging on this movie, I don't think it's necessary to see the previous films. And I believe there is a 7th movie coming out as well. So, we have effectively a slasher type kind of Jason Voorhees character who has been killed in previous movies and buried in this cemetery, but he is resurrected by a kind of blood ritual from this kind of woman, and he ends up kind of going on a rampage again. At the same time, there is these 4 kind of goth girls that are heading towards this kind of beach to kind of to cheer up one of their friends who is suffering from a breakup. However, they discover that the ex-boyfriend is also at the beach with a kind of new girlfriend. And they become the kind of the focal points of this kind of slasher as he cuts his way through them. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So, let's discuss AXEGRINDER 666. So this is a very simple, low budget and straightforward slasher movie. It's not going to bring in any fans, I think, outside of the core kind of slasher fan base, because it really doesn't do anything original. But what I will say on the plus column, it's actually quite a fun movie. I am not the biggest slasher fan, I'll say that here and now. I find them quite samey, and this movie definitely suffers from more of the same. But nonetheless, it is a kind of like serviceable, fun movie. One of the things that I enjoyed quite a lot about this film is our 4 protagonists. There are these kind of like alt girls, I guess you would call them. And I don't know, I just quite enjoyed their kind of banter between the 4 of them. They kind of do seem like genuine kind of friends, if that makes sense, and they have a kind of quite good chemistry between the 4 of them and seem quite kind of naturalistic. There's one who I feel is pretty much underdeveloped, but the other 3 I think do a pretty good job here. There's also some fun comedic moments in it. The ex-boyfriend, for example, is over the top kind of slimy and basically a bit of a kind of a-hole, for example. But there's some kind of fun, over-the-top kind of comedic moments, I think, within that that performance. There's also a couple of other fun characters as well. We have this, the ex-boyfriend brings this other dude that he has just met, and he's like the complete opposite to the ex-boyfriend. He's just very down-to-earth and chill, and it's quite fun to see that kind of that different types of personalities hanging out, because it just looks really weird. So character work, I mean, it's not the best acting or anything, but I kind of still quite liked it. The movie is obviously very tongue-in-cheek, and it has this kind of playfulness through it. The gore, it has quite a lot of kind of kills, and we have lots of kind of practical VFX. Our kind of killer, he's pulling out intestines and then strangling other people with someone else's intestines and things like that. The gore is not like exactly realistic, but it's kind of like that sort of over the top. It sounds weird to say, but kind of like fun gore, if you see what I mean. And then obviously there's a reasonable amount of boobs in this movie. You should probably expect from a kind of trashy kind of exploitation sort of style B movie. But lots of gore and boobs and kind of goth girls, so I'm sure that would appeal to plenty of people, just as is, just on that. Even though this is a 6th movie, obviously it's kind of like, it's quite watchable in regards to that. I don't think you need to know. There's a little bit of a kind of like exposition dump at the beginning, kind of telling you, how this killer has been killing his way previously, and he has brought up this kind of like this fandom. So the other thing is obviously these kind of goth girls, they're all sort of into sort of dark material, and they're actually kind of quite excited when they find out this killer is actually meant to be buried in this kind of cemetery, and kind of fangirling out, which kind of gives you that sort of like that old kind of theme of kind of like following kind of dark subjects and things like that. So it has a kind of a fun through line through the movie. So let's talk about what I think doesn't work in this film. I mean, it's just a cookie cutter slasher film. This has a very, very simple premise. It doesn't stray from the formula at all. Like I said at the beginning, it's not going to bring in, I think, new fans of a genre. Oh, do you know what? I've really been missing out on slasher films because it's so sort of just serviceable but very kind of generic in regards to, I think, slasher films. And this is maybe the problem I have with them. They just seem very, very samey. So outside of some fun characters, I think this movie doesn't really have any type of originality. Considering it's the 6th movie in this kind of franchise, I guess, I would have thought, I mean, having not seen any of the other ones, to be fair, but I would have thought the 6th one you would try something a little different, but it just seems so sort of like the guy's just going around killing a bunch of people and that's it. That might be enough, I think, for some people, but it's really lacking in any type of originality. I have to say, I didn't think the killer was particularly sort of memorable in any way. He just seems like an amalgamation of other previous kind of like slashers. I mean, he's wearing this kind of like Joker style mask, but I didn't really think he had like personality. I don't know, that seems weird when you consider like Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees aren't exactly known for personality exactly, but they have presence, which I didn't think was the case with this. And maybe it's because it's a lower budget movie. But it could have been literally anything. It could have been anything killing these people. I didn't really feel like he had any real genuine kind of presence, if you ask me. The VFX are fun and okay, but they're kind of, again, they're kind of on the lower budget side. I think it's fine for this movie, but it's worth pointing out that obviously we're talking about some quite low budget VFX here. You know, and it's just kind of like ultimately sort of a little bit kind of generic when it comes down to it. As I mentioned, I think there are some characters who get the short end of the stick. We get one of our kind of goth girls I barely registered as a character. And there's also a few kind of red shirts in there as well. So overall, I feel this movie is watchable if you like slasher movies. I think it's fine if you don't mind a kind of a lower budget kind of killer on the loose style movies. It doesn't reinvent the wheel one iota. It's completely kind of vanilla, I think, in regards to any type of plot. But it's still a fun watch to a certain degree. I'll give it a 5 out of 10, which is my bang on average mark, which is what I think this movie is. It's very average. It's fine if you know what you're getting into, but it's not going to, I think, bring in new fans. 5 out of 10, have you seen it? What did you think of it? And how does it compare to any other Axe Grinder movies, if you have seen them? Because I have not. So 5 out of 10, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time.